Hello? Oh, nice and loud. We will turn that down. Or can you turn that down just a little bit? The big mic? Thank you. Okay, so welcome everybody. It's high noon. It's actually 12, yeah, high noon. Hi, how's everybody doing? All right, you made it. I'm up here. My name is Derek Maribon, CEO of Genix Digital Marketing. I'm here with Stacy Collick of Dollar Bill Printing. And we want to welcome you to Lunch in Arbor Marketing. And I believe we have some first-time people here today. Is there some first-timers? Can I see a hand? Yeah. Okay, welcome, folks. Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Welcome to you too, Derek.
There's lots of friendly people here that'll greet you and embrace you with warm arms if you want to be embraced. We just grab. Yeah, and if you don't, they'll do it anyways. Okay.
Somebody's written a book, I see.
Yeah, yes. Okay, so my book came out. Which is very exciting. And well, you can order it on Amazon.com. Well, I'm going to try and get it over to Nicholas. I got to get some over to Nicholas.
You get it through Nicholas?
You can. What's that?
Can you get it through Nicholas?
Yeah. Well, not yet. Not yet. I've been too busy to. These just came out of the presses like Friday. So.
Are we doing a signing?
You know, I will do a signing. I got to figure out when and where. Whether I do it at Nicholas or do one here at LA2M, so I'll figure that out. And I'll announce that soon. Yeah, maybe both. But you know what? I'm going to give away one copy today. So if you want to win it, when we pass, yes. So Stacy is going to. We pass the basket here, so we're old school. So you can throw money in the hat, which supports us, and you can also throw your business card in the hat, and then we are going to draw one business card to win the book. Okay, at the end. Okay, so thanks, Stacy. Stacy's our treasurer, and. You know, we had a little bit of a board meeting for LA2M last week, and we decided that we're gonna hire someone to help with all the administrative duties at LA2M, because there's a lot of work that goes into it, and we have people like Dee, Mary Lou, Rebecca, who's checking in, me, David. There's a lot of people who spend hours per week doing that. So we're gonna hire someone for like an 8 to 10 hour a week position to manage all the logistics of a nonprofit organization, which we think will be good. It'll help us grow, and it'll take some of the burden off the people who are donating their time to do it, because it's a long time. So that was something that came out. We're creating a job description, which we should have shortly. So we already have some people that are interested who've been involved with LA2M who would be interested in doing that. So, but we can always take more applicants if needed. So, anyways, I won't talk too much, but just so you all know. Thomas Blackwell is our sponsor for January. Can you raise your hand, Thomas? And Thomas is with Impel Consulting, and he's a great guy. I encourage you to meet him. Motivational speaker, business coach. He does lots of things. Thomas is a great guy. He sponsored Lunch in Arbor Marketing. If you get our newsletter, you'll see at the bottom there's a billboard for the sponsors. And Lindsay Dusek is going to sponsor next month. So thanks, Lindsay, for doing that. She's going to be February sponsor. She's having a WordPress event coming up, which I'm sure she'll tell you about. And she's going to sponsor. So we do have March and April available for sponsorships. It's only $200 if you want to sponsor. And that helps defray some of our hard costs if you want to sponsor. So anyways, we also have a LinkedIn group, Facebook page, blah, blah, blah. But today, we have a great speaker. And he's going to talk for a while. At 12:45, we always do introductions, so you get to introduce yourself at the end of the program, and we always finish by 1. But in that meantime, Keith Bourne, who I've known for many years, he's been involved with LA2M as an attendee. And have you spoken before? Okay, this is his first time speaking. But he also started Mobile Mondays, which is a pretty cool group talking about mobile trends. And I assume they meet on Monday. Is that true? Yeah? Okay. Yeah, you know. I did go to Michigan State University, yeah, I did. But, okay, so anyways, Keith Bourne's going to talk about mobile trends, and let's give him a big round of applause and welcome him. Thanks.
Thank you. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. It's always great to come and spread the mobile gospel, which is what I do a lot with the Mobile Monday effort. So the presentation is actually in mobile, so it's kind of small on the screen, so you have to follow me on your device. That's not true. Actually, I was going to say though that this I'm using Prezi. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but it has a really great iPad app. Doesn't work too well for a presentation like this, but it works really great when you're doing one-on-one presentations, if you're doing a pitch, sales, anything that you're doing where you're pitching somebody. It has an amazing presentation. Also, if you did actually want to see this presentation on your mobile device, you can go to appervasive.com, and there's actually a link right there. It says Keith Bourne's presentation. Click on that, and you can see what it looks like in Prezi on your device. That's pretty cool. The other cool thing you can see is if you go to it on your mobile device, it will be a mobilized website. If you go to it on your computer, you'll see an actual normal website. So it kind of gives you an idea of what it means to mobilize a website. But that's actually that's kind of the starting point of people going mobile. I'm not going to talk much about that. There's a lot of information out there about mobilizing your website. I'm happy to answer questions after the presentation. But I'm going to go beyond that and just talk more about the more forward-looking activities in mobile. And I'll talk about that. So let's get started here. So this is 2012. It's the year of big, bold predictions. China's going under. Europe's going under. The world might actually end this year, according to some people. So I'm going to throw my hat in the ring here and make a big, bold prediction about mobile. In 2011, mobile arrived. So the prediction this year isn't that mobile is going to arrive. I feel like that's already happened. And when I say arrive, I'm talking about a lot of the metrics that people use to sort of determine, when markets have arrived. A lot of those things hit tipping points last year in terms of website traffic, sales on mobile, adoption of the technology, all these different things people use. Happened last year, and so a lot of companies in the mainstream markets started investing a lot more in mobile and testing it out. And that's actually what I feel makes 2012 so interesting. Is the companies now have done some things, and they're going to turn around and actually start utilizing what they've learned in the first year. There's a lot of trial and error, and 2012 is probably the first year where you'll see a lot of really great utilization of what people learned in mobile. I think it starts to get you to the point where people will take it to the next level and start really pulling mobile into a very prominent role in their marketing efforts. So that's a big transition for something that's so new, such a new market. So I think that's as bold as I can get. So first, a little background check on me. My mobile experience actually goes back to '98. I co-founded a company called Web2 Radio with some engineers down in North Carolina, and back then it was a whole different game. To do what we were doing back then cost billions of dollars. We weren't spending billions of dollars. Our partner companies were spending billions of dollars. But nowadays, it's the equivalent of basically putting together some software and some business relationships and throwing it up on the App Store. And much easier to do what we were trying to do back then. The companies that we partnered with actually spent a little too much and went out of business, and that was the end of that. Beyond that, I've worked on a lot of things, a lot in the digital space, e-commerce, web, social, mobile. Coming up to closer to today, as Derek mentioned, I helped to co-found Mobile Money in Michigan. After a year and a half, we're over 1,500 members. We have 4 chapters in Michigan. I helped to organize the Ann Arbor chapter primarily, and we have over 450 members in this chapter, so it's very active. I encourage you to come out. March will be a really interesting one. If you're interested in the marketing side of mobile, you probably want to come to the March event. Again, it's the first Monday of every month, but and then we meet down at Arbor Spark. But this one's focused on market research, and they actually, the company put a lot of money and a lot of resources behind some cool research and following people around and seeing how they actually utilize mobile in an everyday experience. And so it's going to have a real impact if you're thinking about mobile and how people are utilizing it to understand how you could use it in your marketing programs. This will be a really great session to attend. And then we'll be covering some other marketing-related events in May and further beyond that. I also organize e-commerce Ann Arbor. We meet down at the Working Title Exchange on the third Monday of the month. And that just started this past summer. We've got 130-something members now. And we've had some pretty good presentations. We plan to do a lot more with that group. Business-wise, I'm the marketing director for Arbor Scientific. I see my boss in the audience. Hi, Peter. I've also worked with several mobile companies through a company called Pervasive, and we've done a lot of different things. There's a lot of really neat things going on here in Ann Arbor, just in town here, beyond just what's going on out there in the world. And I've had the privilege to be involved in some of those efforts, and it's been a lot of fun. Now I'll talk about a couple of them as I go through the presentation. So into the presentation. This is sort of the standard definition of mobile commerce. I think I got it from Wikipedia or something, but it's the ability to conduct commerce using a mobile device. It's kind of blah, but the reality is that it's a much more dynamic universe now, especially over the last 4 years. Things have fragmented and exploded in terms of activity and types of devices and all kinds of different things going on. It's very hard to encapsulate it in a little definition like that. I've got a multiple choice question here, and the question isn't actually which one you think is true. It's at what point would you start to take something like a new market, like a new channel like mobile seriously? And I'll just walk through it. With A, 0.1%, we saw this at some point, and it's kind of a blip on the radar. Not a lot of people are taking it serious at that point. At B, 1-3% starts to get a little bit more interesting. 3%, it's not quite at that threshold a lot of people look, but it's starting to rise. I think it's at C where the 2 and 5%. And actually, I'm going to explain this, but this is October 2010 and October 2011 growth mobile percentage of e-commerce. The 2 and 5% number, 5% is really a threshold. A lot of companies start to look at what's going on in a market. When it takes up 5% of the market, or this certain market is 5% of their overall growth. That's where they start to see. And then it's also going from 2 to 5%. That means next year it'll probably be at 8 or 10%, depending on how fast it's accelerating. So that's kind of the point that people really start to take things more serious and at least start to invest some of their resources into it. But the reality is that mobile is actually already at D, 3 and 10% these last 2 years. And this is a sales percentage. So the boat is already leading, and I think that's an important point to make. The Black Friday is always if you're in the e-commerce world, it's always something that a lot of people talk about. Just for Black Friday in 2009, 1% mobile, 5.6% in 2010. So you saw an even higher acceleration of growth on that day. And then this past Black Friday, we had 9.8% of sales were mobile. So that's a big chunk of the e-commerce market. And this is a market, e-commerce in general grew by I think 20 or 30% last year. So this is huge. And the interesting thing to me is that seeing a lot of stuff in e-commerce over the years. The discussion up until not too far ago was actually about Cyber Monday, if you're in the e-commerce world, and now everybody's talking about Black Friday. And I think that's one of the interesting things about mobile is it actually brings the fight right into Black Friday directly against the retail stores and the bricks and mortars, and gives e-commerce an edge in that area. So it's changing even the groups that you don't normally associate it with. I thought this was kind of a funny little thing here, but I'm not picking on social media. I think it has a really great place in marketing, but there's been a lot of talk over the years about the effects on direct sales, on actually leading people, and the effects on e-commerce sales and things like that. from social media. This is the number for Black Friday for social media. So something that's really been a darling for the last 10 years, hasn't shown a lot of momentum yet in this area. I never really thought it would. Haven't been involved in social media a lot. I think that it has a different place. It's more in branding and customer loyalty and things like that. But there's a lot of people out there that pitch social media as a way to make sales. And you know, to kind of compare the two things that have been hyped up in the last few years, I think mobile at least you know, sees its place in being better at generating direct sales. So quick history check here. The 1997, Coca-Cola installed 2 vending machines in Helsinki, and somebody sent a text, bought a Coke, and that is credited as the first mobile transaction. And of course, after that, mobile blew up because we're all buying our stuff via text now, right? And that's it. Has anybody here bought anything via text, like through a vending machine or anything like that?
Not
anybody?
in this country.
Huh?
In Australia.
In Australia? So that's one person. One more than I usually get when I ask that question. Yeah, I mean, I guess my point here is that the technology was there to do some things. I mean, but as we know, things didn't really take off that fast. I feel like mobile as we know it today, mobile is what I'm talking about in this presentation, really didn't come to be until January 7th, 2007. And so if you go forward 2 years, or 10 years, and let me see if I get this to go. An iPod, a phone. Can everybody hear this? And an internet.
Turn it up on your machine?
Yeah. Touch controls, a revolutionary mobile phone, and a breakthrough internet communication. Yeah.
Yeah, turn your volume up.
An iPod.
It's not quite up all the way.
A phone. And an internet communicator. An iPod. A phone. Are you getting it? These are not 3 separate devices. This is one device. And we are calling it iPhone. Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone. And here it is. Actually, here it is, but we're going to leave it there for now. So, before we get into it, let me talk about a category of things. The most advanced phones are called smartphones, so they say. And they typically combine a phone plus some email capability, plus they say it's the internet, sort of the baby internet, into one device, and they all have these plastic little keyboards on them. And the problem is that they're not so smart and they're not so easy to use. So if you kind of make a Business School 101 graph of a smart axis and the easy to use axis, phones, regular cell phones are kind of right there. They're not so smart and they're not so easy to use. But smartphones are definitely a little smarter, but they actually are harder to use. They're really complicated. Just for the basic stuff, people have a hard time figuring out how to use them. All right, well, that's good enough anyway. He basically just goes on to say that he's going to reinvent the phone. And that's what they did. I mean, I think that really was the turning point. And regardless of what platform you prefer, I think that this point in history actually made the big difference for everyone that's in mobile. And really, so I kind of measure it from that point on. We've seen just incredible growth in how mobile phones have been utilized. Analysts now are predicting that by 2015, over $100 billion in sales will be done over the mobile phone, and that's pretty massive growth.
Doing okay.
As I mentioned when I was talking about my phone, the mobilized website, the starting point is typically mobilizing your website. And that's a good starting point. But I think a lot of the potential in mobile is still it's in all these other things that you can do, because the device is with you. You're not chained to your desktop with this device, and that really changes the game in a whole lot of ways. So I'm going to spend the rest of the presentation going over how companies out there are changing the game, and I'm focused on ways that not just they can make money, but that a lot of different companies can utilize and make money, whether you're in retail or online or what have you. So here are all the things. So I kind of alluded to this earlier, but the bricks and mortar, there's a lot of impact that mobile's having there and will have there. It's bringing people back into the stores with more information. I think by now everyone is supposed to be only shopping online and flying around in space cars. I think what they were telling us in the late 90s, right? Quite a few people still shop in real stores. Retail is still alive and kicking, and mobile can, in a lot of ways, become a strength for them, but it can also become a barrier if they don't handle it right. You're bringing all of your competitors into the store with you, or the customer is, and so it has to be handled properly. But this concept of the brick and mortar really becoming a battleground between mobile and the actual store itself is a major trend from last year to this year. Location in general is obviously can play a big role in what mobile has over other channels. We know where you are, is kind of the thing. And even if we don't know who you are, we know that you're here and we can follow you around and things like that. One company I wanted to point out that is kind of cool is Shopkick. I don't know if anybody's heard about this group, but they're very popular in retail merchandising now. Basically what happens is it's like a loyalty card, but you get points just for showing up in the store. And all the research basically says that if you come into the store, you're very likely to shop. And so retail does all these different things to get you just get into the door, because they know the conversion there will be very high. So what this is basically geared towards is that concept, and it's been very successful for a lot of retail stores. I think the Gap is using it, and a few other big chains. Mobile loyalty related, but separate topic. Vouchers, coupons, loyalty cards. This is one of the areas that I was working with the companies here in town. This is so you think about these cards that you get, and you have I have like 30. I don't keep any of most of them in my wallet. I have maybe 2 or 3 at any given time, and anything beyond that, you really don't have the space for. Mobile changed that. You could have 100 companies loyalty cards to in your phone, and it doesn't make a big difference in terms of taking up your wallet size. So that kind of changes the game there, but from there, now it's dynamic, now it's connected, now they have information. We start to look at trends and how people are shopping. If they're using the card once a month and you want them to become a shopper, come in twice or 3 times a month, you start to offer them deals. If they're somebody that actually shops 3 times a month and you want to increase the average sale, then you offer them deals to encourage that. You know that information with this. We really didn't get that kind of information out of loyalty cards in the past. And the other cool thing is that the typical loyalty card was used 1 to 2%, whereas we found over 10% usage in the first few months. And so this company's actually changed their name and they're in stealth mode now. But you look for that technology. There's a couple others doing some similar activities. Mobile ticketing. This is really just a industry in its infancy right now. How many here have used mobile ticketing to check through on their flights? So a handful of people here. That's really just the first step. I mean, you think about the different things you can do with having a dynamic ticket in your cell phone, being able to upgrade, change tickets, not just with airlines, but with venues and things like that, where you can, you might even be able to change your seat while you're at the place. You see, you know that one's open, that the venue knows that a seat is open, and if you pay an extra $10, they can make the $5,000 they wouldn't have made had people not been able to upgrade right there in the arena. So there's a lot of different things they can do. They can establish partnerships with other companies and take these and basically add a lot of additional revenue streams from the different things you can do with the mobile ticketing. Mobile apps obviously has been a really hot topic for a couple of years now. There's quite a few mobile apps out there, so you have to be really good at defining what you want to do with a mobile app, and I think there's still a lot of opportunity out there for it. But obviously, the days of just creating an app and everybody finding it are over. You have to actually market it. So one of the key things you want to consider here is consider a marketing budget for your mobile app. Your mobile app isn't just your marketing budget. I would say, if you spend whatever you spend in your app, I would expect to spend at least that much on the marketing side of things in that same year. And the other cool thing about mobile apps is that they can be a sales channel just as much as they can be a marketing channel. So you kind of have to decide what you want to do with it. I mean, you can make it both, you can make it one, or you can make it the other, and that will dictate how you're going to establish those marketing campaigns around it. But the beauty of it is it really establishes almost a completely proprietary sales channel for your company, if that's the route you want to go. A couple other things that I'm just going to glance over because I think they're pretty obvious, but they don't apply to a lot of people. Things like content purchases, that's like the iTunes store, things like that. Mobile purchases, the new technologies coming out where you can actually make a purchase with your phone. Those are all technologies that are changing the way people are utilizing mobile in companies and retail and different places, but they're pretty straightforward. Let's see, so how are we doing on time here? 12:28. Okay, so I'm going to play this because I want you to see what's going on with the cows. This is QR codes, which is really sort of a darling of the mobile industry for the last year. QR codes, I don't know if you realize, or if you know about this, but last summer the postal system basically gave a discount, 3% discount to anyone that was doing direct mail of any sort. And basically, if you had a QR code in your mail, you would get 3% off your mailing costs for the summer. And so a lot of people utilize that. That's why there's this huge boom in QR codes. A lot of the people did the implementation pretty poorly, but that kind of brought it up to speed here. So a lot of people have heard of QR codes now, but this was, I thought, one of the more innovative ways to utilize QR codes. Let's see. So it's in French. So can everybody see the subtitles? You can't all shut up, but I don't know if it's harder to read. So I'll just kind of explain what he's doing here. So this is a farmer out in rural France. He's got QR codes on the cows. People driving by see that, stop their cars instantly because it's like, I don't know if everybody's Seth Godin, the purple cow. This is a real purple cow here. I mean, you paint a cow purple. I don't know how much sales you're going to get, but if you put a QR code on a cow, apparently it can really help your business as a farmer. So now this farmer, for the first time in his life, is going direct to consumer, and he's got a booming business. You'll see him sitting in his shack selling stuff, and I just thought it was really funny how they're doing it. So now, actually, the next stage of this is the dairy industry over there, and this is a really cool concept too. When you scan the QR code, and this is a key part of QR codes, is you need to have something that's really cool at the end of that QR code, or people are going to be real mad at you for taking the time to scan it. But they have like a little game. If you get, kind of like a lottery type of thing, you scratch off the right one. you can win something. So then you go and collect what you had won, and then you end up buying a lot of other stuff. And that's what they found was really successful. Now the dairy industry is actually in France is taking this to the next level and incorporating QR codes into a lot more of their campaigns due to this guy's efforts. So I think that's pretty cool, and I think it's just an indicator too of just how there's still a lot left out there, for people to innovate this field and bring in more business. Yeah, so this is funny too. Yeah, that's the one problem he said he had is people couldn't scan very easily from behind the fence, so they're jumping the fence. But everything has its quirks that got to be worked out. Okay, there's a company here in town actually, Deal Savant, and I wanted to point them out. They have a great application that they launched already, and they're growing. But basically what it does is it uses QR codes, and it has a whole set of analytics behind the QR codes that you can track, and people are using it in local stores and things like that, and they're getting traction based on that technology as well. Footpath technology is pretty cool. I don't actually need to know who you are or even have access to your phone to pick up your phone. And there's a lot of quirks in how they're using this technology that they're working out right now. But they're already able to get a lot of information from it. But the basic idea is we can kind of sense you here with your cell phone. And that at least gives you the information of where your customers are going in your store and give you footpath stuff. So you see like here it's women's wear and cards and candy are the really popular areas. So if you're trying to get some other things at high margin, you want to put them next to those areas, you would now you know where the traffic is and where it's collecting, and you can arrange your store in a way that utilizes that better. So I thought that was really cool technology. And then, of course, the future is wide open. There's a lot more coming up and down the pipeline, and it's up to everyone to really innovate and take advantage of this stuff. But that's just sort of like a tip of the iceberg of all the things going. My notion on the whole thing is that actually I think when mobile has truly become successful at becoming reaching the potential that it has, we're not even going to realize that it's mobile. It's going to be so pervasive across all these different things. It's going to be in our clothes and our different devices and all these different things. I mean, it's already starting to happen right now. The iPad, I think, is a good example. It's debatable as to whether iPad is truly mobile in the way we think of as mobile. It's sort of like a hybrid, and I think there was a time not too long ago that people called laptops mobile, and some people still consider that. And actually, when you're looking at the statistics, you have to figure out like what are they even defining as mobile. But I think that's going to get even more confusing. And some, for statistics purposes, that's tough. But I think that's a good thing for the marketplace because as mobile continues to reach its way into all of our lives, it's going to add a lot of value and make this a much more strong channel to utilize. So that's it. Thank you again to LA2M for having me to present.
Great. About 5 minutes for questions. If you just want to repeat the question, we only have one mic.
Sure.
If they want to raise their hand if they have a question and keep it going.
One thing is pushback on privacy. What kind of things that we've seen coming out of the consumer area? And the other thing is competition for QR codes.
Right, okay. So the first question was privacy issues. Cell phone companies right now, I mean, like Apple, I think, is having a lot of pushback on privacy and what they're doing. Google had some, a lot have come out. I think Microsoft as well. Okay, all these things are starting to become uncovered. I think they were always doing them, but people were saying, hey, wait, I think Microsoft's tracking us and putting that in some big database somewhere. And so there's a lot of consumer rights organizations that are up in arms about what's going on in the marketplace. It definitely, there's still a lot to be shaken out, I think, on that end. I think it's true of a lot of different industries where they have these things that have to be worked out early on.
Any branding attempts on, we're not misusing your data, any branding organizations?
Any branding?
Like, Better Business Bureau and, eTrust and the others.
I believe some companies are using, this concept of within their brand saying we're not using your information for anything, or they're being much more transparent about it than other companies. If that's what you mean. Like,
Well, we're an organization, we meet these standards.
Someone that's sort of certifying whether or not somebody's meeting. I don't think anybody's certified. There are standards out there. There's an international group that actually sort of defines the standards for privacy globally. I can't think of the name of it, but I know they define the standards. I don't believe that they run any actual certifications of it or anything like that. So that's definitely still sort of in it. I mean, there's a lot of activity actually in that area, but it still pretty much is in its infancy, and I think there's a lot more to shake out. In those terms, and hopefully, I think you'll see, some control. I don't want to see the pendulum swing too far the other way, because then it makes it very difficult from a marketing standpoint to do things. But there's certainly a happy medium you can find. I think that will meet everybody's needs. And the other question though on the QR codes, the competition.
QR, is there anything up and coming?
So the question: any up and coming technologies in QR codes, or
no competition?
A competition. So other types of codes?
Well, other types, what functionality of QR code is communicating messaging? Right.
Well, Microsoft's got a code that's similar to a QR code. And then there's
Data matrix.
Huh?
Data matrix.
Data matrix. But I say, so from my understanding, the general thought out there for QR codes is that there's going to be technologies that basically leapfrog it, and at some point it won't be as useful down the road. But I think a lot of that still has to be shaken out. But that's, yep.
So, are there any metrics that show? Let's say you've got a store and you go mobile as well.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any metrics that show whether or not people, does their bottom line go up much, or is it just kind of shifted from brick and mortar over to mobile?
Right. So well, a lot of it comes into the metrics you put in place, obviously. People are going. But yeah, to be honest though, I haven't seen some great metrics on using mobile as a new market to grow additional revenues. So I'd like to see that as well.
Keith, next week we have at LA2M Brian Beecher talking about cloud computing.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, how is mobile technology going to be impacting cloud computing and vice versa?
Right. Well, nowadays